Now an update on campaign 2016. Another intense, fiery Republican presidential debate last night. Joining us now to recap last night's debate, our analyst Joe Fleming, and I will be very disappointed when the political season is over because these debates have been must-see TV, Joe.
The best debates I've ever seen, as far as you don't know what to expect from the three main candidates to this point. You got three of them going into a brawl. You got John Kasich trying to act like an adult and talk about policy. But right now, you want to watch these debates to just see what happens and see what excitement comes out of it.
So Cruz and Rubio once again, sort of teaming up on Donald Trump. Do you think that that's a calculated move by these two guys, or just ends up working out that way?
Well, I think they have to team up on Donald Trump at this point. He has about 45% of the delegates. He's getting close to that 50% mark. Once he gets over that, it's going to be very difficult to stop him. They right now feel that the voters are reason not to vote for him. But keep in mind, Donald Trump is not going after the establishment vote. He's going after the anti-establishment Republicans. And the more they jump on him as establishment candidates, the stronger it makes him among his supporters. It's tough to take supporters away from Donald Trump. What they're trying to do is stop new supporters from going to Trump.
I would argue that Trump prefers the mudslinging over the policy discussions because if they really press him on those things, he might get lost.
Well, we saw that a little bit last night. They were talking about his cuts. You know, he wants to make these cuts, and then they were showing that his cuts are not big enough to make the things that he wanted to do and support a balanced budget. So I think the more he talks about the issues that are personal instead of policy, the better for him. And I really think he wants to stay away from foreign policy.
Yes. And now John Kasich, as you mentioned, the only adult in the sandbox, so to speak, in the debate last night and all these debates. Now, there's some talk that of a brokered convention. He was talking about that this morning. He says if we win Ohio, he being the governor of Ohio, but I've also heard, Joe, that there's talk that he may drop out before Ohio because the fear of embarrassment of losing in the state that he's the governor in.
Well, the thing is, if you want to stop Donald Trump, he has to stay in the race. He has to win Ohio. Cruz and Rubio will be smart if they sort of stayed away from Ohio and give him a clear shot. At the same time, you want to see Rubio win Florida. The reason is both those states are winner-take-all primaries. The other states are proportional primaries. So if Kasich wins Ohio and Rubio wins Florida, it's going to be a lot harder for Donald Trump to win the nomination, and you possibly could get a brokered convention.
All right, and coming up at 7:30 over on Fox Province, we're going to talk about Mitt Romney.
Yes.
And his, whatever you want to call that, yesterday in Utah, where he basically was the spokesperson for the Republican Party and trying to get everybody on board to
as the establishment.
As the establishment, right. All right, so that's coming up at 7:30. We'll talk about Mitt Romney with Joe. Update now on campaign 2016 and this historic presidential election process and season. Joining us again is our political analyst, Joe Fleming. In our last hour over on WPRI 12, we talked about the fireworks at the Republican debate last night. There was I guess we'll call it a pre-show of fireworks from Mitt Romney earlier in the day. He came out with scathing remarks about Trump, saying everything he could about reasons not to have him be the nominee for the Republican Party. Your thoughts on what Romney had to say?
Well, my thoughts is Mitt Romney's representing the establishment. Also, John McCain came out and attacked Mitt Romney yesterday. So you have your last two Republican nominees both criticizing him. But keep in mind, both of them lost the presidency. I think Mitt feels that Donald Trump would not be a good nominee for the Republican Party because I think he believes that Trump would have a lot of very difficult time against Hillary Clinton, and the Republicans would be in a very difficult position. Keep in mind, the Republicans are trying to hold on to the Senate. They have a 4-vote lead in the Senate. They could lose that. They have 24 seats up this year. So I think they're looking at the big picture, not just the picture for the presidency.
Do you think this was a Mitt Romney decision or a Republican Party decision?
I think it was a combination of both.
All right.
I think Mitt Romney was upset what's happening. He doesn't like the tone of the Republican primaries going on right now, and I think he's trying to separate Donald Trump from the rest of the field. The problem is that Donald Trump has a base of support of people who don't like what Mitt Romney stands for. The anti-establishment people. He's the establishment. So him going out there blasting Trump is not going to bring Trump's voters away from him. They're going to solidify Trump's voters for him.
So you have the anti-establishment and the establishment. Then you have the convention coming up. Say Trump is the nominee.
Right.
We go to the convention, and it's just chaos because there's a lot of things that could happen.
There was a lot of things. If Trump has enough votes and he is the nominee, I really believe they will try to unite behind him. I don't think all of them will, but most of them will. They'll try to put a good face on. They'll try to be united as much as they can. But I think in the background, they're going to have some concerns about the general election. If it's a broken convention, we're going to see a free-for-all. You don't know what's going to happen. You may get a nominee like a Mitt Romney. He could come out of nowhere and be the nominee as a person that everybody can agree upon. Because right now, Donald Trump still doesn't have a majority of the delegates. He's only at 45%. So unless he does a little bit better, it could be a broken convention.
Do you think Romney might say, listen, I'll help you folks out. I'll give a speech. I'll throw a Hail Mary, but I don't want anything to do with being a presidential candidate because I don't want to lose again.
That could be part of it.
Right?
He's
An ego thing.
Yes, he's lost twice. Once as a nominee, once he didn't make it as a nominee. But he also said, I don't want to be a three-time loser. He may be out there just trying to get somebody else to be the nominee besides Donald Trump. That's his main focus right now. Whether it's Rubio, whether it's Cruz, whether it's Kasich, he wants to see anyone but Donald Trump at this point.
And you got to think that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are just sitting back laughing at this because they're acting like children, like everyone says, and it's just let them beat each other up.
Yes, the Democratic Party right now is very happy because if you notice, the debate last night was not focused on Hillary Clinton.
No.
It was focused on each other.
Right.
And that's what the Democrats like to see. The more the Republicans beat themselves up, they're acting like Democrats did in the past, and the Democrats love it.
All right, Joe. Thanks so much for coming in again this morning, and we'll have much more, of course, throughout the election season because it's a daily development, it seems, with this, which is really outstanding for us.